Oh, actually, move a little closer. There we go.
And we are live. So, hello, guys. Welcome to another edition of Writer on Writer. So, I did this for me and Brant's Kickstarter when that was live, and really liked the format. So, I decided to open this up to other indie creators as well, and obviously friends as well. So, I got Daniel here, who is a fellow indie creator and friend. So before we get into, again, the just back and forth about writing comics, please introduce yourself and talk about, that thing you got going on right now.
Hi, I'm Daniel Kablan. I'm a comic book writer from Brooklyn, New York. And I'm the writer and creator of American Dreams, which is a superhero comic set in 1900 New York City. It's about a young Jewish immigrant who gains superpowers from a Thomas Edison experiment that goes horribly wrong, or horribly right, depends on your point of view, and has to figure out what he's going to do with them as a result of getting these powers. And he has a great supporting cast of both fictional characters, such as family, and historical characters ranging from Harry Houdini to Emma Goldman, and some of the historical figures like Thomas Edison are in opposition.
Yeah, it's a good book. So this is issue 3 you got going on right now. So There's an opportunity to get all 3 issues, correct, for the Kickstarter?
Yep. Both digitally and physically.
And we got Adam in the comments who says hello to us. And yeah, just kind of going into Kickstarter. Well, we actually should probably announce that we have crossover prints going on because this was going to be around the same time as I launched my Kickstarter, but it was towards the tail end. So If you already backed up my Kickstarter and Daniel's Kickstarter, you will automatically get this print, either physically if you back it up physically or digitally if you back it up digitally. But don't worry, there's still a chance if you haven't backed up my Kickstarter or if you haven't backed up Daniel's Kickstarter. Obviously, go back up American Dreams at any price, and then you could buy anything from my Etsy store, and I'll have your name, and me and Short Fuse will talk and see who backed it up, and you'll get the print that way too. So it's not too late. You could, again, check out Like Folly Daughter or They Call Her Dancer as cheap as $2, and you will get these wonderful prints. So let's screen share and see what those look like. So first up, I forgot to get Daniel's. I'll have to go on my Facebook. I'll not screen share and I'll get it. But this is the first print you'll be getting. This is Wayne's print. American Dreams is on the left. Casey in her invulnerable costume. What's going on there? Is on the right, and the New York City landscape is in the background. On the left, it's more of like the industrial back in maybe not the 1900s version, but it's not as shiny as the modern version on the right. So that is the first print you'll get. And now the second print, which I'm going to stop screen sharing so I get on my Facebook.
That looks like I was doing some research into the end of the first arc, and the certain character appears somewhere, and I had to figure out where. And it turns out a location I thought would be for this building, but ended up being in the final script for issue 5. It's now where the Empire State Building is.
So that's what happened. Sorry, what's not at the Empire State Building?
There's a scene at the very end of issue 5, and I want to make sure I had to find out where this thing was back then, because it exists today, but it exists in a different spot. Because where the original building was is now where the Empire State Building sits. It's kind of
interesting.
Print that Wayne did.
Cool. We have a question from Adam. Are you guys from New York? Yes, we are both from New York, and that's how we became friends. Well, we both worked for Short Fuse, but we did conventions together because we both lived in the same area, and we wanted to do conventions and sell our books. So we became friends through doing that and doing many Comic Cons. Huh?
Well, it's easier to coordinate in cross coordination.
Definitely easier once because we don't live. I mean, we live maybe like an hour or so apart, but not far. We were able to do Comic Cons together, which is cool. Now I do have the picture of the other crossover print you can get. So the other one is, this is from the artist that Daniel works with, Dodie.
Yep.
Dodie Echo, right?
Right.
And
I think Timby Andre did the inks, and my friend Tim Brown did the colors.
And that's the style you get there. So I think that's what's kind of cool about doing the crossover prints is that you get the style of both books. So you get the Wayne Brown style, which is my artist for Life Valley Daughter, and Lisa Moore doing the colors for that. And then you have Eka and his creative team and art team doing this one. So again, you back it up as little as $1 for Daniel and $2 for my stuff with the Etsy store, and you get some cool prints, which I believe is going to be through the Short Fuse packaging. We're going to work that out, but I have a feeling that's the route we're going to be going. So, but you'll be getting those packages when, again, I believe Daniel's packages go out.
Right.
All right, well, let's jump in. How's it feel doing a Kickstarter? One thing I like doing with these shows is just kind of get down to the nitty gritty and try to be as honest about our feelings and stuff going on. So I know, I've been through it. You've been through it. What's your emotions right now?
It's like that first initial just getting everything done is anxiety provoking because it's like, okay, I need this information. I have to get all this stuff together. And Short Fuse thankfully is such a great help putting it together, but at the same time, it's like, okay, nervous as hell because I have to pull everything together. And once you launch, it's like, okay, now to get the money, raised. And so that's anxiety provoking. Now you have to be, marketing yourself and marketing the book. It has to be like you have to be on almost constantly with that.
Oh yeah, trust me on that one. It's nice to have a team in the background. I think there's good things to both, depending on what you want. I think there's positives to both, but especially when you got a Kickstarter going on, it's nice to have somebody on your side.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, oh boy, it's just the anxiety of first the setup and then launching it, and then just watching that goal be hit. And then after you hit your goal, it's like, okay, I want to hit the next stretch goal, and the next stretch goal, and the next stretch goal. So it's like,
and I've been looking at your Kickstarter. You've actually been pretty going up, which is nice. It doesn't seem like you've plateaued at all. How's it feel to be and literally jam right into the middle of the Kickstarter? Because you're in the middle of your days right now. You had 30 days, and now you're like 15 or something. How many days you have left?
I've lost a little less than 2 weeks, and it's a little more relaxed now. But I still want to get to that next stretch goal, which we're getting a lot closer to. Don't want to say how much we're getting a lot closer to it now. But there's some days where it's like you're just launching. It's like keeping an eye on things. It's like, hello.
Well, I'm looking at your next stretch goal is
4,100, I think.
4,100, and that is to get the Mike Watson print, which is amazing. Mike just did one for me for Casey, which definitely for the next Kickstarter we're gonna be adding that. So that's cool. So 4,100, you'll definitely make it. You got 12 days left. You'll definitely make it to that.
Yeah. I think we have a question from the Real Manos.
Yeah, sure. Let's feature that one. What are your biggest non-comic book influences? That's a good question. Well, Daniel, you're the guest, so you go first.
Well, film, ranging from old musicals from the golden age of Hollywood up to the latest action blockbuster. Also, a lot of theater as well, because
you do like your theater.
I do. You can't go. I do a lot of content. You'll hear me talk about my latest, theater.
Or singing a song in the mix of it all. I've heard it all.
Yeah. And theater does help inform, I guess, I think how I write dialogue, because it's basically you're writing a screenplay or a play script. So having acted in high school and middle school and having a lot of plays, I think it's helping develop a small ear for dialogue.
Yeah, it's cool to see other mediums bleed into comics. For me, I have a TV background, and I'm gonna cough. So hold on.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
I know.
Yeah. So I have a TV background, and that's really helped my writing and understanding storytelling, and also understanding what's different from TV and comics, of course, as well. But that's definitely influenced me. And as of right now, I think in the pandemic, what I've really been trying to do is to look at things I might have not try to read more books. And when I say read more books, nonfiction, I really trying just to learn more about people and different types of people and different types of worlds. So I just picked up a nonfiction that I won't say about here because I don't want to spoil the next story I'll be doing, but it has to do with an American icon and to delve into a story maybe not a lot of people know about from her. So I'm excited to work on that. And then, I just bought another book that is a memoir of, this is not a story, so I could talk about it, but it was a memoir about this Christian blogger who ends up marrying, well, she was married to a man and the man cheated on her a lot, and she wrote like 2 books about it. And she also like was dealing with bulimia, and she was dealing with drugs and all that. And then the 3rd book, when she was promoting the 2nd book, she met her future wife, and it's like a whole memoir about like this whole journey, and like it's interesting. I think it's called Untamed. So I'm reading that now, and it's just cool to like kind of hear different people's voices and try to use time for this quarantine in a useful way, and just try to learn, because I think there's always opportunities to learn.
Yeah, the last nonfiction book I read, I think, was just before the quarantine started, and it may affect a future maybe spin-off or something of American Dreams. I'm not sure yet. Well, I've been talking to a couple of people about it. It's called Damnation Island, and it's about the infamous Blackwell Island asylum and prison, what's now Roosevelt Island. And but this is back in late 19th century, early 20th century, when it's basically the prison, the madhouse, the poorhouse, the orphanages, and it's just talking about how horrible it was, and also several of the people who went back and forth there, including Nellie Bly, who appears in issue 3 of American Dreams, by the way. So if you want like Nellie Bly's story, if you know her, she's the one who she actually tricked the authorities into laying her into the madhouse, claiming to be she tricked them to thinking she tricked them to making them think she was insane, and she spent 10 days in the madhouse, and she wrote a very famous expose of the Blackwell Island insane asylum.
So do you feel like you've read a lot of nonfiction for American Dreams? Like, why did you want to write about America? The early 1900s about America. Like, are you a history buff?
I'm a history buff.
Okay.
Otherwise, the original impetus for this, there's a musical called Ragtime, which is based off a book called Ragtime. I was listening to the score of Ragtime, mainly the symphonic suite that they have at the end as a bonus track. And at the time I was kind of like napping, listening to the music. I was like, what if there were superheroes at this time of American history? Because it was a big era, kind of similar back. Because I started writing the first draft in 2016. Election was on. There was nativism, anti-immigrant movements, political movements, fight for workers' rights, things like that. So there was a lot of looking at today's events through yesterday's lens. And at the same time, as I said, there was an election going on back then. And so that kind of spurred me into action to write, because I felt like there should be something holding a mirror to getting to what's going on. And then a friend and I were writing something else. We pitched it to another publisher. And while we were waiting for that to be done, they went, "Daniel, do you have anything else?" And I showed them the script of what would become American Dreams, and told me, change the title, change the ending somewhat, but you might have a good first issue, and then turn things happen and move over to short views.
Interesting. And we do have a question from Adam. Sorry for it being a long question. Do you feel that you can reach people that never would care to read comics / never read them to begin with? Like, do you feel your storytelling could pull people? I mean, I think, sure. For me personally, my lens, sure, I think you can. But for an indie creator, I think you mostly target people who read comics.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to ever say that, because like you want to target everybody, but it's the same thing when you're doing marketing. You also have to understand what scope you're gonna get, and you're not in comic stores. You'd be lucky enough if someone walks their way there. But Kickstarter, you even just understanding the comic industry and who you're targeting within there, like Kickstarter is a different crowd than people that go to the comic book store. And right now as indie creators, that's what we're focusing on. Our efforts is to try to get Kickstarter bigger and to try to get the people that go on Kickstarter. But as of right now, especially superhero comics, I don't know. I don't know if that's our job. It's not the indie creators' job. It's the Marvel and DC's job to try to get more people who watch their movies to get comic books. As much as we can try to make it our efforts, I don't know how much reach we can really.
I mean, it's hard sometimes, especially with my book, because it's two niches. It's historical fiction and superheroes. And fans of one may not necessarily be fans of the other.
Mm-hmm.
It's also just sometimes really hard to say, oh, like, you go to the conventions and they'll be like, oh, you work for the big two? No? Okay. Moving on.
Or are you an artist? And then they'll
two writers sitting together, like, no.
And like, no,
or
I'm
the
sorry.
infamous, hey, do you like comics? No.
Oh yeah, so Daniel, out of anybody, knows the trials and errors of doing conventions, and yeah, the little things you do, like, oh, do you like comics, to try to bring people in, and a lot of people don't. I don't understand why they're at the conventions, but they don't, and that's okay. But yeah, if you can't even target someone that's at a comic convention, and they must like something in that regard of genre, it's going to be even harder to target a bigger market than that.
Yeah. And I know I know what some stores are doing. I know there's a theater in Sheepshead Bay here in Brooklyn where sometimes one of the local comic shops will put up like a small pop-up. They'll have comics, but mostly they'll have pops and action figures. And I know it's trying to get people into the comics after seeing the movie, but it's also really, really hard. I know when DC did Justice League, if you ordered tickets in advance for like the first IMAX showing, which I did, you got free bonus comics. Same thing they did previously for Batman v Superman. So they're trying to get the comics out. And this is Marvel and DC, but they're still not getting as much of the return from the movie audience to the comic book audience.
Adam says, I don't know, man. I was 23 when I read my first comic. I'm 31 now. I mean, definitely not impossible to get people, but I think those people must have liked something of superheroes in some regard before they picked up that book. You know, they must have loved the movies or loved the TV shows. I don't see a lot of people. Maybe the only place I can really see is maybe in an academic field, because obviously there's comics. Also made different types of comics. For us, it's because I'm talking about the lens of superhero comics. So, because you asked if our comics can reach there. Sorry, someone's ringing the phone. Yeah. I don't know if my superhero comic can reach everybody, but I don't think that means that comics can't reach everybody, because it's all different genres. So I think about like webtoons, which kind of reach million. Oh well. Hopefully it stops ringing at some point and someone picks up the phone. All right, can you? I think they're going to move in the other room to talk to my brother. But anyways, what I was trying to say, webtoons, that's obviously a great opportunity to tell different types of stories, like romance comics or fantasy comics. So I think, yes, there's possibility of comics reaching every sort of person, but there's still the scope that comics are only superheroes. And again, I don't know if the superhero genre will reach everybody, and I don't think it needs to. So my Like Father Like Daughter, I don't think needs to reach everybody. I think I need to understand my demographic and try to hit that demographic. It'd be nice if someone outside that demographic likes it, but it's kind of my view of it. But maybe the dancer will hit a different demographic. So you write books that, aren't like your other ones, and you hope you can reach people. And then they're like, oh, I really like that writer. I'm going to continue writing that, reading that writer. And then they become a fan of that. So yeah, there's different avenues for it, but I think there's also just so many different questions connected to that.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because my first real comic book project was on Tapas and DeviantArt. I was doing a Western hero type comic for like 1.5 issues, and I ran out of cash. But yeah, not every book is going to hit every audience's check marks. And there's a lot of big comics out there, web comics especially, that get published, which have nothing to do with superheroes at all. They're like slice of life or romance, and they are very popular. They get a lot of sales.
Yeah, And that doesn't mean that, okay, well, you got to write a romance comic because that's what's hot right
Exactly.
now. But I think there's all sorts of different comics and all different platforms. And that's what really the comic industry is trying to figure out, is the different platforms that we can utilize to hit as many people as we can. But again, as someone like me and Daniel, I don't know if we have the reach just yet to do that. But once we do, it'd be nice to make those plans.
It's also, you also need to find, if you're doing what genre you're doing, you still have to find your unique angle, your unique take on it, and see how you can twist it on its head.
Yeah.
Like I have an idea for like a slice of life book that's also a superhero book. It's, I twist it on its head. And I said, actually kept my notes about it yesterday.
Yeah, I'm excited to read the notes. Adam says, able to reach with your talent, maybe thinking outside the box and possibly doing face-to-face with random people. Not at this moment, but you'd be surprised. I mean, that's what Comic-Cons are about. And that's where we see it, for hours. When you do a Comic-Con, you're from 10 to 7. You're probably not eating. And you're just like, all right, got to wake up and do this the next day. Depending if you have to travel, you might have to wake up even earlier. But yeah, that's how you kind of see which people are going to end up picking it up or not. And those are in Comic Cons. Again, what I was saying before, those are people that like genre in some regard. And they might not love your book, and that's cool. Or they might love your book and you're like, oh, I didn't picture they would. And it's also just reach in general. Outside of a Comic Con, it's hard to get people's attention, right? Even on the internet, it's hard to get people's attention. And I do agree that you need to figure out, how do you get people's attention? That's your job. And you continue to try to do that. But if someone hasn't read a book in their life, I don't know if I want to right now waste my efforts to say, all right, I'm going to try to get you to read a comic book. It'd be nice if you do, but I don't know if that's where you should be targeting your efforts right now. Doesn't mean those people can't be targeted in the future once you have a strong enough fan base.
And I know, and what did you put out, because we were watching Watchmen, since we were in quarantine, we got HBO Max and we were watching Watchmen. And my mom has all these questions, so I'm like, Mom, here's my copy of my worn out copy of Watchmen, the graphic novel. So hopefully this answers your question. She read it in like 3 days. And she loved it.
And I think that's a good example. I definitely don't want to say I don't believe that people can get into comics, because I don't think I would do what I do if I didn't believe that. But I don't know if my main focus would be to target the people that are not interested in comics.
Yeah, you need to find your target audience. That's how it boils down to it at the end of the day. You need to find what's your target audience. Unfortunately, we don't have like the big marketing tools like DC and Marvel, where we can't break it down to by age, gender, demographic, religion, favorite food, that kind of thing.
And again, they have the reach. They have the movies. They have, they understand who's liking their superhero stuff in that regard. And they could do, let's go to AMC and really get the random person to read it. But yeah, I mean, you could do friend to friend to friend to friend, which is definitely helpful. And, hopefully word of mouth helps, and word of mouth is important. And, I will say people who read comics, or at least try out comics, at least in my experience, like I was saying, at least likes TV and movies. Like, they like storytelling of some regard. Yeah. But that's what you kind of have to tap into, is if they're willing to even read a comic. Because maybe some people that love movies and TV might hate reading. And we've got a lot of those people at conventions where they're like, I don't read.
Yeah. And that's always a little disconcerting. It's like, you're at a Comic-Con, you don't read.
Adam says, what turns most people off in comics in general is they claim it's too hard to figure out where to start. You'll have to advantage over new people. Trust me. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean,
especially if
you're willing to buy it. I definitely wouldn't say no.
And it's just, if for American Dreams, we only have free issues for like daughter. If you're 6, it's not like again, Marvel, the big boys, where you have 80 years of content you have to go through, and some of that stuff is.
Well, they also got to find us, right?
Yeah.
They got to find where we are, and that's hard sometimes when you don't have the reach of Marvel and DC. But you work every day to try to get that recognition and all that jazz.
And I try. Boy, do I try. Oh, I raised your hand. A good one.
Yeah. Do you both use outlines for your storylines? Yeah. I mean, I think, especially for my TV stuff, I outline a lot because it's just a bigger project. And comics I do too, but I I mostly outline in a notebook, which is interesting. For TV, I'll outline in final drafts, but comics, I'll write my outline out and then start breaking it down on my computer and figuring out dialogue and all that.
In my case, am starting to do outlines more and more because I used to be more like, okay, where do I want to do? I would be more, kind of fly by my pants. But now it's like I want to outline. And what I'll do a lot of the time is I'll write down copious notes, and then of what I want to do, for example, for like a general gist of a series, for example, and then I'll take those notes and start an outline for like a first issue. Or in the case of American Dreams, I'll have a rough idea where I want to go, and I'll outline, a couple issues ahead, and then I'll figure out, okay, this can go here, this can go there, this can go here, this can go there. I actually came up with 3 or 4 possibilities for the next arc, which starts with issue 6. And now one of those arcs I outlined to be issue 2, to be outlined to be arc 2, we could be outlined to become arc 3 now. So it's one of those kind of down. So now I'm outlining a lot more, and it's helping me not only figure out options, but figure out I can move this here and this there and this around here.
So where, you got this Kickstarter going on, where do you want the future of your I know it's such a big question, but where do you want the future of your comic career to go? How long you want American Dreams to go? What's your goal?
As far as I can take it. I mean,
that's always a good answer.
I've told you ideas. I can't tell people here.
No, you can't. No.
Of like story beats I want to get to, like historical moments I want to get to, especially around the fall of 1901. But it's like I have to at least get there first, and to get there, I still have to go through all the other little stories, the major story beats, to get to that point. And even after that one big point, which I'll get to eventually, I'll still want to do more.
Do you feel like all your comics are like that, or they're beginning, middles, and ends?
Some I might want to condense into miniseries, or at least do as like short arcs, and if there's demand, then continue. But American Dreams is my baby. I want that one to go on.
So, coming from a business perspective, I know you want American Dreams, but where do you see the future of your books going?
That's a tough question.
That's what we ask here, are the tough questions.
Yeah, I would like to make it, American Dreams to be, be profitable, so I can eventually make that my job. Just working on that nonstop, day in, day out. I have the day job right now that helps pay the bills. And I know Charles Soule somehow is a full-time lawyer and a comic book writer at the same time. I have no idea how he does it.
Yeah, that definitely sounds hard. But I feel like he doesn't write as much as he was writing a couple of years ago.
But he still does a lot. But he doesn't do as much as he used to, given the current events and what his firm does. I'd like it to get to the point where it's my livelihood. B, maybe get my foot in the door at, or to bigger things as well. But I still want that to be my thing. Is if I go on to do say big things, I would still want to come back to American Dreams and continue its story, be it through the current timeline or spin-offs or various other ways of telling the story.
Now on Twitter, you've been teasing some work for hire stuff, but not that I know you could talk about it here. But definitely close your lips on that. But is this something you want to do for people who want to get into work for hire? What are some suggestions you'd give the crowd here?
The thing to help start is make connections. That's one thing. Another is, start having that body of work so you can actually show people, look, I've done something. So I have something to show you can hit a deadline or just at least you can do a script and come out with a product. And sometimes it's just a shout in the dark, like, anyone need a writer for something? Which is how I got this most recent gig.
Cool.
And I actually saw the first piece of art ever from this current work for hire this afternoon. And I'm like, well.
That's awesome. not again, if you could talk about it, but what plans do you got for the work for hires? What can people look at to
I
learn
can't say
more?
much. I just finished issue 6 of the script this afternoon. I still have 3 more to go before the story's finished. Because that's already been pre-outlined, and I'm the hired gun to bring it to life. But yeah, I'm talking to a couple other people for some work for hire stuff, but again, can't really say much because I don't want to spoil their stuff, even though I'm writing it. But when the time comes to talk about it, I can talk about it. It's one of those things where it's like.
So Ranger Red said, "What inspired you to write American Dreams?" I think you talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
A combination of listening to music while napping, thinking, "Oh, what if superheroes happened in the early 1900s, and in the midst of a contentious election year, and a lot of big things going on that are happening then and now. It just was like a perfect brew to inspire me for that story."
So as you get into the last bit of this Kickstarter, what are your expectations, and how do you, if you could, obviously you have a crowd to talk to, what would you say to them about, if they want to do a Kickstarter, or the struggles or the happiness of Kickstarter?
It's really good to do, but you still have to put in a lot of work. Like, not only just putting it together, you still have to promote it, you still have to push it, and it has to be non-stop with it. Like, I do a post every few hours for this Kickstarter, and it's helped. But at the same time, it's, you have to put in the work. It's not like click a button, sit back and relax. You still have to promote yourself before, during, and after.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you guys have any last minute questions, let us know. We're starting to wind down a bit, but yeah, anything else that you'd like to talk about? Any topics
Well,
you
actually, I
really
did
want
think
to
of a question
discuss?
for you. I did think of a question for you.
Go for it.
What is a property that's not superhero related that you would love to do a comic book adaptation of?
That's not superhero related. I always say,
Or it can
so
at least be superhero-ish adjacent, but not like outright
it could
superhero.
be any property. It has to be a comic property, or like to make it into a comic, right?
You
Any
can turn it into a
property.
comic property. It can be current or hasn't been made one yet.
I would really like to write a sequel to Alex Mack comic. I know that's so strange, but one thing I love about that show is that obviously it kind of has like superhero qualities to it, but this girl was like, nah, I'm just going to use my powers for all selfish reasons. And I would like to see her as, I mean, not an adult, but like a college age kid, not being a superhero, but still having these powers and seeing what that means. So I think it's a really interesting twist on the superhero genre without it being a superhero story. And I don't know, people love nostalgia. So
I was thinking the Wild Wild West because first of all, everyone thinks it's a really bad Will Smith movie, but I was thinking of going back to the original TV show because that was really like one of the first big steampunk shows. This was back in the 1950s, 1960s. It's also it's kind of campy, but it's also a lot of fun. And also, my first real comic was a Wild West, somewhat steampunkish comics. I'll be going kind of returning to my original roots.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It's always fun to think that because comics have become and always have been very franchise driven, but we are seeing all these other franchise turn into comics and not just superheroes, like you were saying. Like Clueless was a comic and got a graphic novel. So anything, yeah, like Clueless, the movie. They made a couple of comics, I think, out of it.
Yeah. I mean, there's really interesting things they go into, like properties that people are not even used to. That they do. Well, they can't call it the Avengers because it's Marvel, but they do Steed and Peel, the British Avengers. But that's also why they have to call Avengers Assemble in the UK because the BBC has an Avengers copyright. It's a long story. But
a long story that hopefully you'll tackle one day, Daniel. That's what I want.
But yeah, it just really got into those characters because again, a horrible 90s movie they made back in 97, 98. I was 7 or 8 when it came out. And it's about 2 British secret agents originally in the 1960s. It was Diana Rigg was the main star of it. she was actually the second or third female lead on the show, but she became like the main female lead of the entire series. And he used Uma Thurman in that part, and I forget. It was Patrick McNee, I think, who played the male lead, this very dapper gentleman by the name of John Steed, and I think Ray Fiennes plays him in the movie. And I just found it as really an interesting concept. Again, kind of campy, but it's just a really fun duo to work with, and they just have some really fantastic villains, including in one episode of the TV series, they got Christopher Lee to play the villain.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. That definitely, I could see that as like a Dynamite comic of some sort.
I think it was because I think Grant Morrison did it as a Steed and Peel series because again, they can't call it the Avengers for obvious reasons, so they called it Steed and Peel, and I believe they did a crossover with Batman 66 called Batman 66 meets Steed and Peel.
Yeah, they did a lot of those Batman versus whoever, TMNT, they did a lot of those. I think Batman 66, yeah, he had a lot too. We have a question from Ranger Red. Who is your favorite author? So favorite, I'm guessing comic writer?
Yeah. Scott Snyder, Grant Morrison, Pierre Tomasi, Tim Seeley, Tom King.
I see a trend. Are these all Bat writers?
Stan Lee, not a Bat writer. Oh, Ted Hoffman. Rob Michael Bendis. Batman's my favorite comic character, so of course I'm going to lean towards the Batman people. But yeah, it's also hot. But then I also have like writers like Oscar Wilde, going back to books. Garth Nix, R.A. Salvatore for fantasy.
What are you gonna say? Any others?
Stephen Sondheim, even though he's a lyricist and a composer, his lyrics and music are essentially parts of plays, and so I have a whole bunch of writers, kind of, and authors of various genres that I love.
So for me, I would say Tom DeFalco, obviously, because of my love for Spider-Girl. Also Brian K. Vaughan, I'm a very big fan of. Trying to think of writers that no matter what, I'll pick up their stuff. Those are two that really come to mind that I love, and I'll no matter what pick it up. But yeah, I mean, Gail Simone's great. Tom Taylor is great as well. Those are some that come to mind. Are you hearing any background noise? That's why I keep muting myself because I got.
Do you hear any background noise? Because I know my mom's in the kitchen right now.
No, I don't hear anything on your side, but I have like a whole conversation in the background right now.
I don't hear anything. Don't worry.
All right, cool. Let's see if there is any other questions. No, I think we're good.
Adam has something about you guys are so easygoing. Trust me. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, you can read it. Go for it.
You guys are so easygoing. Trust me, having your books in hand, doing face-to-face in malls, parks, skate parks, in front of a Target or Walmart, running a crowd over in New York. I don't think we do.
I don't know if it's even legal to do that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, not here at least.
Not in New York, but like we did conventions. You can have conventions in almost everywhere, and we've been in conventions in really anywhere. I mean, we had the last one we did, which was in January, which I think was like the last con I think we'll ever do for 2020.
Oh yeah, maybe even 2021. The way we're going right now.
Yeah. Thanks, COVID. Was in a small convention center in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and by small I mean it's not even like you can fit like probably 20 of them in Artist Alley of the Javits Center and still have room. And we've done a con in a college at what was it, Hofstra?
Yeah, Hofstra, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, it was. It was in Long Island.
Yeah, and we've done one in a hotel lobby.
Yeah, we've done a good variety, and then we did like Baltimore Comic Con. So not just to say we've done small ones, we've done big ones as well, and we try to get ourselves out there. And
I went to Philly too.
Yeah, Philly we went to as well, and we did a Wizard World convention. So we've done a big variety of conventions, and I've done store signings. I've wanted to do more, but now COVID's not really allowing us to do that.
And we had plans.
We did. We had plans to do more store signings, which again, these are just the best places to go to try
And I
to
think we
get
were supposed to
people.
be in Boston right now. Right now we've been in Boston, like literally today.
I thought Boston was August. Was it July?
Let me check. I think it was. Which was the July, or last July one was the one that was supposed to be at Eternal Con, which was been like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we had a lot of conventions up. I was supposed to go to San Diego Comic-Con in 2 weeks. That is not happening. So,
yeah.
What do you feel like you've learned from conventions? I feel like what do you feel like you've learned from comic conventions?
You have to be high energy. You have to be on the ball. And you have to be ready with your pitch. And you have to be ready. You have to be ready to help make yourself stand out from the crowd. Because there are 20 or 30 different people in your general within like the 2 hours of you at, say, Baltimore. We're trying to sell as hard as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be people who will be selling things that would be more likely for be bought. Like we were
and they don't need to do anything. We won't call names, but we always see the same person at conventions, and they do not need to say a peep. This is not comics. This is not related to comics. They do not need to say a word. They will sell out of everything. And it's always the same person that it always sits near us. And it's like, wow, how do they make so much? Obviously, they got quality stuff, but it's just like crazy, especially when you're a writer and you sell comics, how much you just got to like shout out from across the room to try to get people's attention.
And sometimes it gets you in trouble.
Yeah, it gets you in trouble sometimes too, but you got to do as much as you can, you know? But yeah, you got to try to be as high energy. I agree. What are you going to say, Daniel?
And sometimes you have to shout over music because sometimes
yes,
again, something we had to do, and we and several other people had to set up a delegation to complain to the management about it. Yeah. It was that bad
because you couldn't even like talk to the person right next to you. And again, now that's COVID, you literally can't even talk to people. But it's interesting how things have changed since that last con we did. But yeah, what was your favorite moment from a convention? And I'm talking about selling because I know you've done conventions just to go. But favorite moment and most learning moment. When did you learn the most? You felt so both of those.
My first ever convention, I sold out of all the 50 copies I brought, which I think was my favorite moment.
Did.
My next con was the part where I learned is that basically I didn't sell it even close to that. And I was like, remember, Daniel, first of all, Daniel thou art mortal. Like the whole, ancient Roman, whisper in your ear. It's like even if you sell good, like your first con or your second con or even your previous con number it doesn't mean your next con you're going to sell well at all. And so you have to realize not every con is going to be your big gangbuster con.
Yeah, I feel like what I've learned is to understand how much money you're putting into a convention and if that will give you a profit. So learning to split tables and if there's a table that costs $400, might not be worth it if you don't feel like you can make those profits back. And like I said, splitting those tables and kind of figuring out your profits from there. If you're getting room and board, how much will that cut into your profits? And if you are not there to make a profit, which is okay, that's not always the goal. Is it worth to be there to make a fan base? Will this be a place that will have people who will be returning customers? Will they, just not answer you and say they don't like comics?
Yeah, like I know what I mean, because one of the things I was worried about before this whole convention, started was, oh my God, if they don't cancel this, A, risking my health, B, I'm spending X amount of money for a room. So it's like 3 or 4 different kinds of risk right there.
And people are not going. I mean, that's also a fear is like when conventions come back, which rightfully so, we might be ready to do conventions when we are ready. But it doesn't mean people are going to want to go out there and A, spend their money to go to a convention and B, be around that many people. So will conventions even look the way we did even when things are safe?
Yes, because I know New York Comic Con still thinks, we're going to go ahead. But it's like, really? No. I wouldn't risk it. You wouldn't risk it.
No, I'm good.
And like, I think it's like the con we did back in January still had a decent amount of people, but at the same time, it's like even then it would be too much right now because not enough space.
And then when you have less people, it's like, again, you're spending so much of your time to be there. It's like you do question, all right, well, is it worth to be here right now? Was it worth money, A? And then B, was it worth your time? Because your time's important as well. So, and that's how you have to, because there's so many conventions and so many things you could do to push your book out. What are your best ways to do it?
And don't forget, the further out you go, the more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah. Because you gotta pay that room and board. And again, sometimes it's worth it. Like we do Baltimore Comic Con, and I think it is worth it because that's a convention that's all about comics, and you don't got a lot of those conventions anymore. So those are things that are worth it. And we were going to do Boston, we were going to do a couple others, but
yeah, a friend who wanted me to come out to do one in Hawaii, and that would be in February, which I would love to have done, except I don't think it's worth like either way costs, and it would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, unless you live in Hawaii, I don't know if that one would have been worth it for you. But
no, unless I, cracked open the first bank of family, and that they're not going to be exactly pleased with. Oh, you want to go on vacation to Hawaii to sell your comics? Oh,
yeah, that's not happening. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap up now. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and thank you, Daniel, for coming on. Of course, one last time, check out the Kickstarter. It's in the description and also the chat. And once again, a reminder, you get those two posters, those two prints, if you support us. So go support the Kickstarter. If you have already supported my Kickstarter, then you're all golden. And obviously if you supported Daniel's. But if you haven't supported my Kickstarter, you could buy something on my Etsy store and you'll be all good there. And obviously go support Daniel as well. So you'll get 2 prints, not even just one. You're getting 2 prints out of that deal, which is pretty nice. Yep. Anything else you'd like to plug before we leave?
Not at the moment. Anything else I'm planning, I really can't speak about at the moment. So I can't really plug more than American Dreams, but you guys should really check out.
Yes, go check it out. It's a great book. If you're looking for a different take on a superhero book, go check out American Dreams. And like Daniel said, if you like American history, it's a really great marriage of both genres. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and let me know in the comments what other writers you'd like me to have on this. I know some short fuse people I'll definitely like to have on when they have their Kickstarters, and anyone else that I could try to get on this. Usually I try to make it people I know because, it's a little bit of a better conversation that way. But yeah, let me know. But thanks, guys. It's Comic Uno, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, guys.